Yeah.
There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, good day to you, wherever you are at this very moment in time. You're welcome here, for real, for real. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for taking the time to just tune in to yourself. Because when you tune into yourself, you can get clear about what you're feeling, right? For those of you on Facebook and WhatsApp, no, WhatsApp, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm looking over here because this is where I have Instagram today. I am in London today with family, my sisters and my dad. So I have a different setup. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. The time we're living in right now is calling for us to listen, to tune in. And as we tune in, we give ourselves the permission. We create the opportunity, the space to be transformed. Because the way to move through where we are now, this time, this space between the old dying and the new beginning, and they're all actually, there's not just an intersection, it's happening at the same time. Something is dying, something is being birthed, and we're in the middle of it. And because we're in the middle of it, we are dying and we're being birthed. That can feel messy. I was just sharing on IG before we went live on YouTube and Facebook that, I woke up feeling sort of emotional. I woke up feeling centered-ish. But then as I started to think of what I'm going to do today, I was feeling overwhelmed, and I just had to bring myself back. So, we're going to do one thing at a time. One thing at a time. So one thing at a time, let me tell you who I am. If you don't know who I am that I am. That's all you need to know. And I am Ade Fowoshe, your transformational beingness artist. Welcome to another episode of Ade Presents Being You. And that's a podcast. The journey back to yourself. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for surrendering to whatever nudged you to be here. Whether it's because you know me, whether it's because you know Rev D, whether it's just you just saw Ade Goes Live and you clicked, whatever nudged you, I want to invite you. I want to invite you really. I'm not doing anything for you. You do it for you. I create the space and you get to decide if that's what you want. I want to invite you to say this affirmation with me. It is, I am present. I am here. I am now. I am present. I am here. I am now. Now, when we're saying it, it sounds like we're saying it at the same time, but we're not. But we are, because there's a 10-second delay. So when I say it, you hear it 10 seconds later. But that's the beauty of it. In the mind of God and spirit, there is no time and space. So whenever you say, we're saying it together. Here we go. I am present. I am here. I am now. I find that when I say my affirmation and I put my hand, I often put my left hand. I don't know if there's any logic to it, but it works. Sometimes I do my right hand, I think. It just helps me to integrate what I'm saying. I am present. I am here. I am now. Think about that. Think about that. And when you finish thinking about it, I want you to feel about it. Feel it. What does it feel like to be present? What does it feel like to be here, right now? What does it feel like to be in the now? Yes, you may have some things you're trying to do, dealing with. And someone just shared an emoji, and it's one of those emojis where when you're angry, like the head is red. What are you angry about? Or you're just trying to match my outfit. Alafia, my dear sister Marian, nice to see you. Brucey, nice to see you. I almost called you Bissy, which is a Nigerian name. I don't know why. I almost feel like that's not your name, but Brucey, of course it is. And Kwali's in the house. Thank you all for being here. Yoli is in the house. Brucey's in the house. I am present. I am here. I am now. That's right. It is a good way to bring yourself back to the moment, to surrender when craziness is happening. This is season 3, episode 31. Today's Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. Day of the Dead. Don't be fooled by the distractions of candy and tricking and treating. Recognize the essence. It's an opportunity to recognize your ancestors, loved ones in the spiritual realm. I want to say this, but it sounds judgmental. I'm not sure if it is, but it isn't. It's just what it is. In the West, we have a tendency to uh, gloss over what things that are sacred. And as we gloss over things that are sacred, we create a sense of disconnection. The more we honor those who came before us, my ancestors, your ancestors, our ancestors, the more we do that, the more we recognize that we're part of something greater, something more, that we're part of one another. We would address life, deal with life, move through life in a different way. When you just remember, when you not just remember, because remember is still a little bit of process of thinking. When you move, when you allow what you remember to be a part of your body, a part of your life, a part of your spiritual practice, when you see another, you know that's an extension of you. I'm not saying you might not feel the need to judge them, because we do. We judge family members. We judge people we love, people we're in relationship, romantic relationship with. We judge them. But the love that connects us helps to kind of take it back. And the Bible is called repent. Repent metaphysically means to turn around. Repent, turn around. Sin, S-I-N, means you missed the mark. It's an archery word. It's not like, oh, God's going to send you to hell. God is like, I still don't know what this hell is. God don't even do all that. God is, air, water, fire, the minerals. They're not like, well, what does it mean to drown somebody? What's the flood? The elements ain't doing that. I doubt it. The elements just is. God is. So when you commit a sin, you missed the mark. You missed the mark. Boosie, what do you mean? Pervert is the word. I don't know what you mean by that. When you miss the mark, you repent. You turn around. You turn around and say, oh, let me return to the truth. Let me forgive. Let me ask for, let me apologize. Let me correct. Let me surrender to what is true. So, I don't know how I got on that topic, but the day of the day, I know, recognizing that we are all connected, we all belong. And we don't have to wait for a dis-ease, a pandemic to remind us of that, or think this is just a temporary thing. The great lesson of this pandemic, however you see it, whether it's a plan-demic or pandemic, that the great lesson is we are connected. And I would also say that we must remember not to be like cancer cells and fighting one another because we see things differently, because we disagree with another. When cells fight each other, you have cancer, you have disease. What do you believe? What is true for you? Does what you believe help you stand true, strong, courageous about life? And if what you believe and you're rooted in it and you know it is true for you and it will bring you peace of mind, you don't really have to spend a lot of time fighting other people about it. Because when you're rooted in love, that's what courage is. That's what faith is. When you're rooted in love, the love that transforms, the love that breaks your heart open so that you can allow more of it out. Woo! Love ain't passive. Love will clean you up, clean you out. Love will reveal you to yourself in a new way, that you look in a mirror, you see yourself differently, and you just might start to tear up because you behold yourself in such a clean, with a new attitude. Like, wow, all this time I've been hard on myself. but I've come a long way. We have a responsibility. Oh, okay. Boosie said the West perverts our ancient rituals and turns it upside down. Indeed, indeed. And the more we live from what we know to be true, the more we flip it the other way around. Being you, the podcast is an invitation. It's an invitation for you to check in with yourself. How do you see yourself? Like, really? Oftentimes we may come up with the negative things about us, but what about beyond that? Behind the negative things about you? Are you just those negative things? And maybe you've cultivated a consciousness, a belief system where what you see first about yourself are positive things, things that are empowering, things that make you feel like, yes, I belong, I am worthy. Maybe you go back and forth, but it's important to be true with yourself. How do I see myself? How do you see yourself? How do you see the world? Do you see it as separate from you? Do you see it as all those leaders gathering talking about climate change or just a bunch of whatever, because they're separated from you? The truth is, a part of the leaders, part of them leading lives in us, and a part of us lives in them. So whatever the issue is, sometimes we may agree with people that we don't like, but we may not admit it because we don't like them. And sometimes there are people that we like, that we have a connection to, that we disagree with them, but because we like them, we have a connection, we kind of go along. And then we go, well, yeah. How do you see the world? How do you see yourself in the world? And how do you see the world in you? How do you see yourself? How do you see the world? How do you see yourself in the world? And how do you see the world in you? That's the invitation. It's today's Shoinka's birthday. I think it's a few days ago, but it's in the last few days. My dear sister, you're in the house. Thank you for letting me know, Boosie. Happy birthday, Shoinka Rahim. Nice to see you. Rev D will be here in about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I want to invite you, if you haven't, to go forth, go ahead and like and share the Being You podcast page. If you're on a different podcast, if you're on a different page, you might want to go there, especially if you have questions. Because if you're listening, watching this somewhere else, I may not get to your questions. I may not see it, not even get to it. So we invite you to go there, like it, share your thoughts as well. We're all in this together. Let me tell you some announcements. I want to tell you about a global conference that's happening started yesterday, ends on the 5th. The 5th is Friday, I think it is. I'm going to flip my announcement, so I'm throwing myself off. It keeps me on my toes. With hearts wide open. It's a global conference that started yesterday, ends on the 5th. Go to withheartswideopen.com. However, hold on one second. With dash or hyphen. So when I say dash, I mean hyphen. If I say hyphen, I mean dash. With dash with so difficult. That's why I'm like slowed it down. With dash hearts dash wide dash open.com. So just put the dash between the words. Okay? Go there, register, and catch teachers, healers, creatives, teachers, people like you and I, sharing their journey, their experience about what is possible when we open our hearts, when we allow the heart to lead us. My talk is titled, Let Your Heart Break Open. Take a breath. Let your heart break open. Oftentimes when we feel stagnant, when we feel like nothing is happening, nothing is shifting, it's because we're closed. The heart is closed. You got to open your heart. You got to open your mind. You got to open your heart to this thing, the very thing that you're praying for, that you say you want. You've got to be the place through which the vision, the miracles, the testimony find their way. Because when you want something to happen, when you have a desire, when you have a vision, it's not something, the vision itself is not happening outside of you, it's inside of you. And when you give your heart, your mind permission to show up, then the vision comes flooding through, rushing through, just like love. Thank you, Charlie. Charlie said, "Nice shirt, nice shirt, brother." Yeah, I feel fly. Shannon is in the house. She said, "This is the medicine I need, divine timing." It is indeed. KS Lovelace, nice to see you. Didn't see you on the show with Ricky a few days ago. Well, yeah, a few days ago. Love and blessings to you, my dear sister. Preach, preacher. I love that you keep that alive, KS. For those who don't know, on Ricky's show, and I'm going, well, let me go into that. I usually, slow down. I usually do my announcements differently, but somehow I'm doing it backwards. So Ricky Byers and I, we have a show every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and it's 2 p.m. UK time normally. But this week, everything starts, well, this weekend, the time went back in UK. Yes, time goes back in UK too. Folks in America, time goes forward in America this coming weekend. So that means everything that I'm doing with America, I have to do an hour early, or else I get there an hour late, which I did yesterday for a meeting. I got there at 5 o'clock and they're ready into the meeting. I'm like, why are they in the meeting already? And like, maybe it's because of time difference. You got time confused. I was like, oh, I did. So I had to set the alarm not to forget what time to do the show today. So anyway, on the podcast, Vicky once said, she said something like, I was in my zone. You guys know I can get in that zone, right? And she said, "Preach, preacher." And she told everybody in the chat room to say that. And KS Lovelace, which is, what's the K for again? Kimberly has kept it alive. I kind of like it. There was a time I didn't like people saying, "You sound like a preacher and an evangelist." I'm like, stop it. I had judgment of that. Now I don't give a flip. I am who I am. I am what I am. I do what I do, how I need to do it. However it lands, trustfully is landing in a way that empowers you and supports you. So when I read here, "Preach, preacher," that means, ooh, I'm dropping some truth. Yes. So yeah, join us for Soul Fulfilling every Wednesday. And if you're in the UK, it is Thursday morning. This Thursday, instead of 2 a.m., is actually going to be 1 a.m. because, like I said, time goes back. I have to remember that, or I'll be there late. So I have to set my reminder, especially with so much is going on. And what else do I want to tell you before we move on? I want to tell you about the Ade Presents Being You, the podcast. It is a weekly show. I started airing every first and third Tuesday. I think around August, there was a lot going on and I needed to just pull back. I'm glad I did because things are still happening. Life is in session. But next year, January 2022, there was a time the idea of 2020 sounded so foreign, and now we're in 2022. Anyway, next year, January, I'm going back to the weekly shows, but up until then, it's going to be every first and third Tuesdays. And one last announcement, if you're looking for a website hosting platform, I invite you to check out libsyn.com, libsyn.com. When you do and you like what they have to offer and you want to sign up, don't you dare sign up without using my promo code, ADE. When you use the promo code, you get at least a whole month free. In fact, you can get almost 2 months free if you do it right. So today's the 2nd. If you sign up today, let's just say you sign up today, you actually have the whole of November free and the whole of December. If you sign up at say like November 28th. You have those few days, 3 days left free, and then the whole of December. So if you're thinking of starting a podcast, call me. I help people start podcasts. I produce other people's podcasts. Or maybe you're looking for, or maybe and looking for a podcast hosting site. Check out libsyn.com and make sure you use the promo code ADE. That's right. We are falling back. Thank you, Kimberly, for reminding me. Kimberly Siobhan. I like that name. I know one other person, and they spell the name just like that. We fall back, spring forward. That's right. Tamara is in the house. She said, "Hello, old friend." What are you trying to? Are you talking about chronologically, or that we just know people? We know each other from way back when. Don't you dare talk about me like that. He said, "You look fabulous and sound fabulous." Yes, takes one to know one. Thank you, my dear sister. I appreciate you. I think that's my announcement. Rev D will be joining us in a few minutes. And today we're talking about spiritual follow through. What does that mean? Does that topic, that title, make you go, huh? Is it about moving forward and getting things done, or what? And how can spiritual follow through help you, help me, help us find balance? With all this going on right now, it is so important to have some kind of practice, a kind of practice that help you ground yourself, that helps you trust the process of life, the kind of practice that supports you in experiencing peace of mind when things are overwhelming. One of the practices I use today, because my day started off for the most part cool. I shared that earlier. But then I started to think of what I need to do before the show is live and some other things. I'm writing daily thoughts. There are other things I need to do, want to do, must do, and supporting my father and my sisters. And I just got overwhelmed. I needed to go out, and I just said, I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to trust the process, and I'm going to just be in this moment. So when I went to the grocery store, I decided to walk, and I just decided to walk as if I have nothing else to do today. And it was very, very helpful. So I just basically slowed it down. Yeah, I slowed it down. Somehow that just sounds weird, sounds different. I slowed it down. That's good English, isn't it? Yeah, we are ready. We are ready. And thank you all for being here. How are you navigating this time that we're in? And I also want to just say this before I bring on Rev D. We encourage your thoughts, your questions, your testimony. And yes, it feels good. I speak for myself. It feels good that you come and listen, right? You watch and you share. But there is something when you share your story. Because the thing is, if you're thinking, if you're feeling it, somebody else is feeling it. Somebody else is thinking it. So when you share your experience, you think it's just about you. You're speaking for so many other people. Sometimes some people don't even have the words for it. They're feeling something. They don't know the words. Maybe they're even judging themselves about it. But when you speak it, you speak for them and they go, yes, that's what I'm feeling. And in that moment itself, they are set free because now they what they were thinking that was in the back and the shadow now makes sense. You've got to make the invisible visible. We always do, but there's some things sometimes that we kind of like just want to leave there, but bring it to the front. Let's have a conversation. I love it. I know Rev D does. And it just makes for a richer conversation, and healing happens in community, right? Whatever you're going through and growing through, share it. And I'm ready to bring on Rev D. I'm ready to go a little bit higher. Babies go a little bit deeper. maybe I just get to go to where I'm going so I can get there on time because there's more of God in the future than now. No, it's not so. Don't even believe that truth. I love when Rev D says, there is no more of God in the future than right where you are. Just think about that for a minute. And as I tell you a little bit about her, I want to bring Rev D on. She's been with me so many years. We've been doing shows together. You know her. I'm going to tell you her website, innerlightministries.com, innerlightministries.com. And you can go to Deborah with an H, Deborah L. Johnson.org, DeborahLJohnson.org. You can find out more about her. She is a lifelong social justice activist with a passion for healing social, political, and cultural divides. She is the founder of Inner Light Ministries, board member of the Pachamama Alliance. She is committed to supporting people in being free. She is committed in helping us, supporting us, assisting us to embody spiritual truth. That is not just a spiritual masturbation. That's what I call it. Like, you're just like, oh, that's deep. Ooh, but to really embodying it, because when you do, you literally change the planet. You may not be able to measure it, but the planet is like, you are my beloved in whom I'm well pleased. I'm glad you allowed me to just be expressed through you. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, psychics and skeptics, we're bringing everybody, physical beings and non-physical beings. Help me welcome my sister, my friend, my mentor, my midwife, Reverend Deborah L. Johnson, Rev D. What's up, Rev D? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Good to see you, my brother.
Nice to see you too. I suddenly feel energized. I don't even know what happened, but I'm not complaining. I am not complaining. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I am. As I always say, life is in session. Life is in session.
Life is in session. You better wake up and smell the coffee. Smell the transformation, really. Forget the coffee. Smell the transformation.
It's not a spectator sport.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's actually better and gentler if we get on the court than sitting down trying to watch what's happening. So let's jump in. Okay. I've been teasing the listeners about today's topic, spiritual follow through. Now, for those who don't know, I jacked that. I didn't jack it. I asked Spirit, and I was led to it from Rev D's book, Your Deepest Intent, for those of you on Instagram. And it's probably spelled backwards, but yeah. Rev D is the author of Your Deepest Intent and The Sacred Yes. And spiritual follow through is on page 212. And is it under the section of, well, just go to page 212. And I don't want to say much about it because I want Rev D to break it down and tell us what it means. And from there, we could move forward. There's some things in there I might even want to read because some of the things on that chapter, it's like, woo, wait a minute. Let me ponder that. So
go for it.
Go for it. Okay.
Yeah. Let me pull out my copy too.
Yes. And Neil's go, where's my glasses? Not that I need it, but I do. Just help me see things. Where is it? Oh, I guess I had it just before the show. Oh, there it is. I'm not going to touch it. So, this is one where I have, but look, I don't know if you can see it. You see how my face looks? Yeah, look at this part. But this is the one that jumped at me right now. There's this part where it says spiritual growth.
Which page are you on? Page
212.
Okay.
It's the section of, has your relationship to the very same thing changed? No, it's not. No, spiritual growth is about deepening where you are.
Okay, right in the beginning.
Yes, spiritual growth is a deepening of the spot where you are. You do not move on so much as you go deep.
Yes.
when that hit me, because I know there was a part of me, oh, I should know this by now. In my mind, I don't even know where I'm trying to get to spiritually, but there's this idea of moving forward so I can show that I'm growing spiritually. And when I read that, it was like, Spirit was like, slow down, slow down.
Yes.
Stay right where you are and grow deeper. So
Yes.
tell us more about spiritual follow through. And I'm actually curious as well to see what was happening in your life when Spirit gave you this, without putting you on the spot too much.
Well, everybody just take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
Just breathe. I say all the time that life is not linear.
Mm-hmm.
And in our Western society, we are always in this wanting to get ahead. We think that progress is moving from one place to another. Okay. But nothing in life is linear. Nothing. Everything is cyclical. And there's cycles within cycles. So we are now in the Western Hemisphere here, what we would call fall or the autumn. Okay. There's year one, year two, year three, but there's winter, spring, summer, fall, winter, spring, summer, fall, January, February, March, April. So it isn't even just like year one to year two, it's cycles within cycles. Every day, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So from the orbiting of the stars to what's in your cells, everything's moving in cycles. That's number one. Because we think so often that I've mastered it when it never happens again. That mastery is when I don't have to do it anymore. That mastery is when I get to be exempt. Mastery is when you can go with the flow. Mastery is when you've done it so often that it's second nature. You're not trying to get away from not having to forgive anymore, or not having to pray anymore, or not having to meditate anymore, but where it becomes your second nature. Mm-hmm. Okay. So with this idea of things being linear, and we're always trying to get from here to there, when you look at nature and you look at things growing and maturing, they're not trying to get from here to there. If you plant a seed in the ground, the seed, in order to get to its fullness, is not trying to jump up and go into another garden. It's not trying to travel around the world. It's not looking for a better garden to be in. It's going through all of the stages of its growth and its development right where it is. Next is not on your GPS system. Next is not on the compass of from here to there. So often next is deeper where you are. Deeper where you are. If this were anything, if you're a basketball player, okay, and you're trying to up your game, the answer to upping your game may not be leaving this team and going to another team. Upping your game may not be about you stopping to play basketball and you start to play tennis. You up your game where you are. You practice harder where you are. If you're in a relationship and you're trying to expand that relationship, you're trying to mature that relationship, you're trying to get it to a place of greater fulfillment. The answer is not in go jump in another relationship. Okay? Go deeper in that relationship. Go deeper in your forgiveness, in your vulnerability, in your accessibility. Okay? So this idea that we so often have, that to be fulfilled means I've got to go someplace else. We just need to cut that out. We need to cut it out. And furthermore, it's impeding our progress.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if you are to make that change, you have to go deeper where you are first to change. You have to become something first, right where you are. It's like graduating.
Yes.
Okay. And then, but you got to graduate. You got to take all the classes in that one. We want to go on to college as a sophomore and just skip over the junior and senior years.
Yep. Yep.
No. And you say, like, what's going on in my life? One of the things that I used to do was skip steps. And literally, I've even been injured. Like, some of my biggest injuries in life have been around steps. Going up steps, coming down steps, missing the steps, slipping but like something to do with the steps. It first came to my attention walking a labyrinth. If any of you have ever walked a labyrinth, you know, there are these lanes and they curve and they bend. It's a circle and you get to a certain point and it like curves around. So I remember the first time I walked the labyrinth, what I noticed was that instead of walking all the way around, when I could see that it was about to change, I just stepped over the line.
You didn't?
Yeah, I just stepped over the line.
I don't think anybody have ever done that.
And started going in the other direction. And Spirit was showing me that was a metaphor for my life. And I went through this, and I mean intense period of 2 or 3 years where I got to walk through every bend that I had skipped, where life replicated whatever I missed by doing that. Even now, I'm working with a trainer now. I never crawled. I started walking at 5 months.
Wow.
But yet there's certain coordination stuff that gets embedded in your body through that process of the crawling. Okay. So one of the biggest things that I can say about the spiritual follow through is don't skip steps. Don't be so anxious to get on with what's next that you don't fully embrace the lesson that is in front of you.
Yes. Okay, Rev, I got to ask this question because you see me laughing over here. Because when anybody goes in a labyrinth, the whole idea is to follow the path. So were you just trying to get to the end? Like, let's get this over and done with?
No, I was following in my mind, I was following the path. Because, you know, it's like you get right to that point where it's going to round.
Yep.
You can see it's going to go back in the other direction. It wasn't like I got off and went another direction.
You just said, you know, let me just skip over and go over there.
Yeah,
I'm going there anyway.
Yeah, it's about to show up anyway.
Oh my God.
That's what's happening. And honestly, until I actually, and I'm grown. I was probably I don't know, I could have been in my 40s or something by the time I figured this out, or spirit pointed this out. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's more to spiritual follow through, but I'm just saying now that you asked what was going on. That was one of the things.
Oh my God.
It's like, oh, okay, it's about to turn. It's all right.
This is cracking me up. I'm gonna try to stay on point. It's like, really? So
No. And the other thing that really hit me walking that labyrinth was you have people who are so close to you. You could literally be rubbing shoulders,
yes,
but they're in another lane.
yes. I love that.
They're on another path.
Yes.
And even going the opposite direction. So I use that metaphor a lot when I'm speaking. And I say, like, the labyrinths of our lives have all intersected at this moment. And you can see people coming towards you.
Yeah.
But we get in that linear thing once again, like, oh, our paths meet right now. So that means we're going to be walking together.
Right.
No, you're coming together and boom.
Yes.
You're together for that
second.
That second. It reminds me of ants. If you ever watch ants, it's the most amazing things. They're going in different directions, but every time they pass one in the other direction, they touch.
Right. Yep.
They touch, and they touch each one as they're going along, and they keep going.
Right. What's up?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's some other things I want to go into in the spiritual follow through here. But before I do that, one of the things that came up for me as you were talking, and for those of you on IG, if you want to see Rev D, you can go to YouTube, youtube.com/LC Radio, youtube.com LC Radio. But if you're happy just hearing her, that's fine too. I hear people say, I know this is my last time on the earth because I'm not coming back. That's exactly what I do. That's it. I know this is my last time. I'm done. I can't come back to this. I'm like, the fact that you're saying that means you're coming back because you obviously haven't gotten it. Because if you do, it won't matter if you come back.
Yes.
But the fact is, I can't deal with this anymore. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. You're not even in charge of your own thoughts. You're thinking it, but what happens behind you thinking is beyond what you can understand. So can you speak to those people who are not coming back anymore because they're done?
Yes. So let me split the difference on that. Because I was just thinking this myself the other day. I'm going to go back to this thing I've been saying this whole time here about life is in session. It's not a spectator sport. Get as much as you can out of it while you're in it. Okay. So this cycle thing that I'm talking about, it's really probably more like a spiral. You keep coming back to the same issues, but hopefully at higher and higher planes. When we don't learn, we don't do a spiral, we do a loop-de-loop, like the broken record. Okay. Now I can appreciate people because I was saying that myself the other day about I'm gonna milk this puppy for all that it's worth. Like this stuff that I'm in right now. Because I don't want to have to come back and do this exact same thing again. Are you with me? I'm not saying I'm never coming back. But if I have to come back and deal with these issues, I don't want to be in the third grade again. You
Want to
know,
graduate.
yeah, I want to do fifth grade math.
Yes.
I want to do calculus. You know, I want to do quantum physics. So I can appreciate people saying, I don't want to keep repeating this. But you've got to remember that there's always another layer. I said earlier here that too many think of mastery as when I get to be exempt. You don't want to be exempt. You want to be fully present, learning everything that you can about life at every stage of life that you're in. This incarnation, the next incarnation, it's like the basketball analogy, where my game is going to get better. As long as I'm in an incarnation, okay, that's my court. Life's my basketball court. Okay, I'm going to leave it all on the court.
Yes.
I'm going to leave it all on the court. I'm going to do everything that I can. I'm going to show up. I call it around here the A game. I tell people, bring your A game. Don't be half stepping up in here. Show up with your A game, your intentionality.
Yes.
To be as full as you can possibly be. And the thing that I'll say about this spiritual follow through, our most common spiritual malpractice is inconsistency. That's our biggest malpractice. It isn't that we don't know enough, or we haven't learned enough, or it's just we drop the ball.
Yeah.
We practice for a while and then we don't. We apply what we know to some area of our life, but not to another. Like, well, yeah, I'll use this to heal my body, but what about money? You can't do that with money. Or well, about relationships, you say, oh, but what about politics? It's not going to work over there. We fail to follow through because we lack consistency. So if you just know one thing, I train my students around this. What do you know for sure? Like Oprah's, what do you know for sure? Just like one thing about life. What do you know? Do you know what goes around comes around? Do you know love heals? Do you know forgiveness sets you free? Do you know there's a world of reciprocity, of exact give and take? If you just know one thing, work it. I mean, work it. Work it at home, work it in your job, work it in your community, work it in your politics, where everybody from Facebook to your grandmama knows that's where you stand. I'm telling you, you don't have to know all the secrets of the universe. If you just were consistent in one thing, your whole life is transformed. Just follow through one thing.
Yes.
Consistently.
Yeah, the deepening, because that's how we deepen, by doing it consistently. And in section 3 on page
Deepen
2,
and embody.
Yes.
See, we are creatures of habit. The only reason why you do the things that you do the way that you do them is because of repetition. It's our safety mechanism. So we don't have to learn how to walk every time we stand up. We have memory, but you only get it through the repetition. See? So if you believe something, it isn't because it's true. You believe it because you have repeated it so much to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that may not even be by choice.
Right. Right.
Because when we're subjected to stuff,
Yes.
particularly as children, that's
Mm-hmm.
what you hear, that's what you hear, that's what you hear. That so you wake up thinking that's true. Because that's what's been reinforced on your consciousness enough.
Mm-hmm.
So as we grow older, we have to assume the responsibility more for what is impressed upon our consciousness.
Mm-hmm. So I want to read something in section 3, which you've spoken to, but I just want to read it for listeners. And if you're just joining us, I'm reading from Rev D's book, Your Deepest Intent. It's the volume 2 of the Letters from the Infinite. Volume 1 is Your Sacred Yes. And it's download from spirit, from God, the divine, however you want to describe it. And they speak to the heart in the most clear way. And I want to read this part because I remember when I read this part, I was like, and this is section 3. Move beyond wanting to move on. And this is a part that caught me. Spiritually speaking, what is next is often more of the same. I was like, wait a minute, wait, no. This is not why we're doing this. I don't want more of the same. But it goes on. You're moaning now at even the thought of this. And therein is the problem. The mastery that you seek should not be for the purpose of leaving where you are. The mastery you seek should be for the purpose of becoming comfortable where you are. Woo! And I'm like, well, I don't like where I'm at. I ain't trying to get comfortable here. I want to move on. But as you're saying, when we practice the principles, we get to have a different relationship, right?
Yes. Yes. And see, when we think of being comfortable where we are,
Mm-hmm.
we think of being happy with the circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Outed.
Okay.
Yes.
Comfortable where you are means you can withstand anything without feeling like you got to be someplace else to be fully who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel the difference in that?
Yes.
Comfortable where you are, in your full power, in your full knowing, in your full truth, where it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. It doesn't matter what's there or what's not there. That, like the sun, we make our light to shine upon the just and the unjust. Where it's not about being comfortable where you are in the sense of, do I have permission to be comfortable here? But I'm so comfortable in myself that there's nothing out there that can make me feel uncomfortable.
Mm, mm,
Not can I be at peace in this crap, but I'm so at peace, this crap can't disturb my peace.
Can't disturb my peace. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm, mm, mm.
So that we're not always looking for the greener grass. I'm everything that I am now. My biggest teachers in life have been people incarcerated for life. They've been my biggest teachers. I've been doing prison work for 21 years. You know? And they are so on it. They are so, how do you find the purpose of meaning You know, how do you, the purpose of being, you know, like what is that? And to see that God is everywhere, including right in that jail cell, right there. There's an extraordinary experience I want to share real quickly. I guess this was a couple of years ago because it was a little bit before the COVID shutdown. We haven't been able to go since COVID. And there was this guy, very, very handsome guy. His name was Giovanni. He just had the it factor. I mean, charming Latino guy with this extraordinary voice. He didn't sing or play the guitar until he started getting incarcerated at the age of 15.
Wow.
Okay. Beautiful voice. And it just so happened that I was able to be there in this room with him at this time alone. And I noticed in one of the closets, there was a kunga. So I started doing percussion, like up underneath him and his original music. And it was just exquisite. So he was explaining to me how another guy asked to be taught to play the guitar from this guy. And the other guy is out. He got a good contract and sent the word back to Giovanni, like, whenever you get out, I got the record deal already for you.
Wow.
It's like the whole hookup. So he was about to be transferred, starting to work his process to getting out. And we're in a little office there in the chapel area. I have him sing for the rest of my crew and some of the other inmates. And I'm not kidding. I asked for his autograph. I said, I want your autograph. I said, because when you blow up, I want to say, I knew you when. Now, mind you, he didn't even find his voice till he was in prison. And then I looked at him and I said, when I see you again, I want to see you up in here.
I know that's right.
I don't ever want to see you in a place like this again. And you know what he did? He just kept strumming the guitar. And he said, you ain't got to worry about that. And he looked me dead in the face with this big grin. And this is his exact words. He said, I know why the caged bird sings. I know why the caged bird sings. Mic drop.
Yes, yes. He was clear.
It was just a mic drop moment. This is what I'm talking about, being comfortable where you are. Being you where you are. If he had waited, well, I got to get out of here so I can find my voice. I got to get out of here so I can learn how to play. I got
Yeah. Now. That's right. Now. No matter what it looks like, now.
Because there's not more. There's not more music outside of prison than in prison.
Right?
There's not more. There's not more of anything anywhere. We might have easier access. There might be better trimmings and trappings. Like I tell people, all roads lead to God.
All roads.
Some are just a little more scenic. But you can find God at the top of the Himalayas, or you can find God when you hit the bottom. Same God. You get to decide how low you go. spiritual follow through is so much about presence. Presence. Being with you, being with where you are, being who you are, where you are. There was another letter that shows up in the sacred yet. That's what I had my throat. My moment. Where it said, you keep asking the wrong questions. Like, when is this going to be over? And why is this happening? Blah, blah, blah. And it said, the real question that you should be asking is, how long will I have the opportunity to keep staying in this circumstance that brings such a fresh new perspective on life? And Lord, is it long enough?
I'll never forget that. I'm telling you, I knew what you were going to. I was like, no.
Hair black. Woo! Hair blue. Woo! Clutch your pearls. Clutch your pearls.
Or you do one of this, like reading, right? You're like, what you talking about? No. I don't want to be in this. That's why I'm praying. That's why I'm affirming. What you mean, stay in it? Wait. God, you didn't understand. Yeah. Man. The sacred, yes, your deepest intent. There's more in there. There's so many. And I want to take what we're talking about here and incorporate, join it with some of the things we're dealing with in this time.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is this thing called cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was talking to someone recently, and I was like, I really miss Tavis Smiley. And there's some people who have things about him, but I learned so much from Tavis Smiley.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his diversity in music and teachers. I mean, and he would have somebody who's a folk singer, and he would tell a story that lets me know, if he's acting as a good actor, that he knows a lot about that person, and bring a hip hop person and have a conversation. And I was thinking, I missed him, and I wish he could come back. But I think he would have. I don't know how that would happen. But anyway, but I'm saying all that to this consciousness of canceling somebody. And of course, Dave Chappelle is the one that's getting people talk about this. And last week or so, I actually looked at the 3 specials. I wasn't planning to. I started with The Closer, which is the last one, The Closer. I've watched that before, and I went back to watch it again, to see it from a different perspective. And then I went back and watched the other specials on Netflix. And what I saw is, not only does this guy talk about every and anybody, talk about white women, black men, people in the hood, whatever your sexual orientation, he talks about everybody. But what I also notice is he's highlighting places where we, our biases, as well as where we've been hypocritical, and conversations we need to have, and really bringing out stuff that we need to face. And then I also go to the place where I think of what I see on social media, the black people saying, oh, Dave Chappelle is this, is that, just leave him alone. And I think, well, what if it was a white comedian doing the same thing and making jokes, or making a point using jokes talking about black people? I think we'll respond differently. And I think he has a phrase where it says, it's funny until it's you. But, I say all of that just to kind of hear your thoughts about it and what you think about the cancel culture. Because I think the cancel culture is a way of punking out of growth. Now, some people need to be accountable for their thing, for what they did. But I think we can go deeper in how we bring accountability for wrongdoings. What are your thoughts?
Take a breath.
When I get passionate about things, right?
No, everybody just take a breath. I'm going to step back Okay. Because I feel like there's so often we hear about something and we go down the rabbit hole
Yes.
and lose perspective.
Yes.
Kind of like taking the knee,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where the powers that be and the media started to make this about a protest against the flag or the United States, not understanding that it's that the whole origins where Kaepernick got the idea from in the first place was advice from someone explaining to him that soldiers at the graveside take a knee for the fallen soldiers as a sign of respect. So while we're singing this national anthem, he started doing that, and we lost all perspective about the Black folks dying in the streets, and it came all about the American flag. Okay, there's a similar thing that's happening now with this concept about cancer culture, and I want us to be very careful in our using it. There's such a thing called revisionist history.
Mm-hmm.
And what will happen is that people in dominant positions will often come up with ideas like reverse racism, where they will come up with ideas that rewrite the story so that the oppressor is the victim, that they're really the ones who are hurt, like what happened with this taking the knee thing. So that all of us who were patriots, we've gotten hurt by these people disrespecting our flag, as opposed to we've hurt these people who are dying in the streets. Okay. So this whole idea of culture cancel, this has been a prop of this rising neo-Nazi thing that we've going on in the United States. And we need to be very clear about that it is a phrase that they developed and that they started using, once again, as revisionist history. The people who are trying to shut down everybody and everything. The people who don't want any other voice in government, any other visibility but their own, when called out on it, or crying culture cancel. Okay, like you're trying to shut me up, when in fact it's the reverse that's been taking place. Okay, so I just want to be like really clear about that one. It's just like this idea of stop the steal. Who the hell's trying to steal the elections? And yet they're coining the phrase stop the steal when they're the ones who are busy trying to control everything to steal it. So let's not get caught up in agendas that are actually working against us. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in terms of the substance of this idea that you're talking about, what I am concerned about is the level of intolerance that we're getting into. Unprecedented.
Yes.
where people's lives are threatened all the time.
Yes.
Just for whatever, being a poll worker, like working at the post office. So that I was looking at 60 Minutes just the other day, where there's more violence in the schools than there used to be. We've got to tone this down.
Yeah.
Our lack of capacity to hear or to be tolerant of anything that is different from ours. To have a civil society, there has to be the room for that.
Mm-hmm.
The question to me always is, what is your intent?
Mm-hmm.
What is your intent? See, it's one thing for me to have the intent to lift up Black culture from the diaspora. And it's another to want to tear down white culture so Black culture can be lifted up. See, those are not the same thing.
Right.
And that's where we have to learn to draw these lines, is what are you trying to lift up? And don't tear everything else down. Trying to lift yours up. And can we have room and can we have space?
Yes.
Now, humor is always that razor thin. Okay, it's like art. Okay, offense is in the eye of the offended. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You can't say, and that's a thin needle. Ooh, that's a thin needle to get through. And there's a lot of people who cut that like really, really thin. And Dave Chappelle is known for that.
Yes.
He's known for doing that. But you know what? That's his job. Like people who are political pundits.
Yes. Yes.
You know, it's their job to like push that envelope a little bit. But I would ask him, and I would ask everybody else to have some responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay, you can make fun, you can joke at stuff. Sometimes I watch, because I watch everything. So sometimes I watch the blue collar comedy, like with Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Foxworthy and Bill Engel and Ron White, and some of them. And they've got this whole thing about, you're a redneck when. Okay, Black people can't get away with that.
No. Yes.
We can't be talking about it.
Sure. Yeah.
And sometimes I think, oh, that's out there, but it's funny.
Yep. Yep.
But it's funny coming out of their mouth. And that's one of the things that we have to learn about this. It's sort of good news, bad news, where there are certain things that you can't say about other people's culture. And there's some things about your culture that need to be said, and you're the only one who can say it. So don't shirk your responsibility on what needs to be said.
Yes.
Even if it might be a little uncomfortable sometimes.
Exactly. Can
I give an example?
Sure.
And I shared this before, and I'm not sure if it was on your show or not. But back when we were still debating marriage equality, which we probably will be again at the rate the courts are going, I was on a show. California was in the thick of that battle. particularly with this proposition called Prop 8, which rescinded the right to marry after the California Supreme Court had said that it was legit. So it closed the door. So I'm no on 8, he's yes on 8. And we're going back and forth and all the rest of that. And at the end of the show, this is what I told him that I think speaks to this. I said, you think I'm wrong. I think you're wrong. I said, yeah, I think you're wrong. You think I'm wrong. I said, but you know what the biggest difference between us here is not about marriage equality at all. The difference is I will forever fight for your right to say I'm wrong. And you just want to shut me up. That's the difference between us.
Yeah.
We don't agree, but I will fight for the space for that disagreement.
Yes.
And you want to end the discussion. And that's what's before us now as a democracy. And I cannot say that strong enough. Can we create the space for the debate?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not doing it in Congress.
Okay.
They won't even let the debate come on the floor.
We were not going to talk about it.
Yeah, but we have to.
Yes.
We have to.
Yeah. And we are in a time where, like you said, we have to, we must. Everything that's happening now is saying you have to have these conversations.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've been feeling lately is we're growing, we're shifting, we're evolving. And there are people taking on the identity, maybe using the wrong word. So if anybody want to come for me, we can talk. Identity or whatever you want to call it. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way of being non-binary, gender fluid, or, there's so many things that we are really opening ourselves up to, seeing that we are literally more than what we've been told we are. And I see what is happening as well. It's like we are recognizing that we are spiritual beings. People are not always saying that. But there's also a sort of conversation as if you go along with the male-female thing, you're antiquated. You don't understand what's going on. It's almost like to go into this non-binary conversation is the more enlightened way. And for me, it's like, no, it's just another expansion of what we need to know about ourselves, that we're more than gender, we're more than our sexual orientation. And it seems like when we catch a new understanding of ourselves, we tend to make that this is the new identity, and that's all we got to get rid of it. And I think I really know that we have to create in ourselves, in our hearts, in our minds, more spaces and places for inclusion, or else we're going to separate ourselves out into misery. And just want to hear your thoughts on that, this new way as we grow and expand and coming up with new identities, labels.
I agree with you on that. And what is at stake is a little different from my perspective. If we use the field of mathematics, for example, it has all of these axioms and postulums and theorems and all these different things, but it's all built on 1 + 1 = 2. But you can't prove 1 + 1 = 2. Everybody listen to what I'm saying. It's the starting point of agreement. Now, if you accept 1 + 1 = 2, then you can do anything.
Yeah.
But there can't be any exception whatsoever. There cannot ever be a time or place in the world, anywhere, any moment, where 1 + 1 does not equal 2. Because if there is, all of mathematics falls down.
True.
Okay.
Mm.
So here's what happens, and my spirit letters speak to this. It will often ask you, what is the 1 + 1 = 2 in your life? What is the 1 + 1 = 2 in your life? So part of the problem that we have here as society is that our societies are built on things that aren't true. Okay? It's like when Copernicus says the earth is not the center of the universe. We think the sun was setting and rising on the earth, like the sun was moving.
Mm-hmm.
And to say, no, we're the ones who are moving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? When that became a Copernican moment.
Mm.
Or when Darwin comes up with, well, you know what? Human beings are really primates and we're really animals that have evolved from everybody else. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. We're not special. Oh, the earth's not flat. You know, these huge moments. The construct of race is just a social construct.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't exist. And as we deal with that, boom, it's going to like blow everybody's mind.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with this idea that we have of male, female being mutually exclusive. Our whole world has been built around that, but
Yes.
it's just
Not true.
not true.
Right.
It's just not true. Every physical body has both male and female hormones in it.
Mm-hmm.
When the egg first gets fertilized, for the first 6 months, first 6 weeks, it's nothing. It's nothing. Testosterone has to be released at the exact moment, or else it's going to turn female. And it's the same tissue. I hate to be graphic here, but it's the same tissue for a penis, a clitoris. So it's the same tissue. It's just, is it going to develop this way or that way? And 1 in 2,000 births here in the United States, people are born with what they call ambiguous genitalia. That's a lot.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. So I'm just saying that we may make it seem like, oh, well, there are these people over here and they've got this new identity and they've got this new whatever. No, they're Copernicus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're coming around and shattering what for so many people is 1 + 1 = 2. This idea of absolute male and absolute female is their 1 + 1 = 2. This was the problem in marriage equality. Male, female, the foundation of a family unit. If that changed anywhere, then all of society was going to fall down.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So what we're up against now isn't so much just that some people are choosing new, fresh identities. That choice is shedding the light on the identities the rest of us have. And it's the lack of wanting to question on the part of everybody else that is as much of the issue as these other people are stretching the boundaries.
Yeah. 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 we don't have time. I have so much more questions now. It's like, oh man, this is happening at the end of the show. My mind is just like, yes, I totally. There's nothing I disagree with what you said there. Nothing. I totally get it. My only point was sometimes there are those of us, the ones of us that are shining light on limited thinking.
Yeah.
Now kind of put themselves on a thing like we are the enlightened one. Not everybody doing that.
No, but that tends to happen. The early adapters can sometimes be arrogant
True.
about it. But look at what's happened just in my lifetime. The identity of males and how they see themselves, particularly in relationship to child rearing. You know, I love it. Now, you see these basketball players, you know, 6'5", 6'8", or whatnot, doing the interview with a little girl, you know, on their lap, you know, bouncing around, grabbing the mic and whatnot. And it's like, you wouldn't have seen that growing up before. Or, you know, dads taking time off, you know, to be with the children. Or even men daring to be single dads and do that kind of nurturing. We've had to rethink what it means to be a male, as women have rethought what it means to be a female.
Yeah.
And once we get out of these binary things about anything, everybody's liberated.
Yes. Yes.
But some people don't want to be liberated.
Yeah.
How
Because
dare
you're
you?
shattering there's 1 + 1, and they're like, "What am I going to do? I built my whole life on 1 + 1 = 2." Now you're saying that's no, I can't deal with that. It's in the Bible that 1 + 1 is. Muhammad said you shouldn't do that, and we're not willing to challenge our own beliefs and things that we accept as true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it even says that in scripture. Male and female, we created them. Not just males and females, but there's this yin yang.
Yes.
Within all of us. All of nature has this beautiful yin yang. And the reason why I'm being so adamant about this is that the world is suffering from the imbalance.
Yes. Yes.
The world is suffering. We have swung so far off in this binary, patriarchal, you know, male, not, or masculine thinking, dominating, or whatever. We've damaged the earth.
Yeah.
We've damaged compassionate socio, you know, relationships, you know, with each other, because we're so off balance.
Yes.
We've so denigrated the feminine.
Yes. Yes.
And everybody trying to stay away from it, that it's the very thing that we need to embrace. But we can't embrace it because we think we're binary. But we're not. So we got to get over some of this stuff to heal.
Yes. 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 And the more we embrace this feminine energy, we might even catch new ideas of dealing with the climate.
This is the Sophia century. No, there's no question about it. You got to accord with it. Be part of the earth.
That's right.
Part of it. Yes.
Yes.
Instead of trying to conquer it. Yes.
The earth can tell us how to do what needs to be done, as opposed to how some people are going about it. But I'm so lit right now. I have so many questions. I'm just like, oh damn, I wish but it's maybe we could continue this. I don't know. We could in the next show. May those who hear your words, Rev D, develop the courage, embrace the courage, allow the courage to embody it, to deepen it, to live it. Because we really do need each other.
Yes.
And sometimes when I think about it, It's really simple.
Mhm.
Just got to do our part. It's really simple.
Yes.
It's not in the debate sometimes, not in the fight.
No.
It's coming back to me and doing my own work.
Mhm.
Showing up as what I know to be true, what I know for sure. FD, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you.
I love you
You're
too,
like
my brother.
you're like a spiritual IV, man. By the time you finish, I feel like I got some oxygen. Bring it! Come on. What? What? I wish you would. You
I, I,
want
I,
to
I,
debate?
I know we're out of time, but I just got to share this with you because it made me think of it.
Mm,
So the very first conference there ever was about LGBT stuff being in corporate America and in
mm,
business, it was this conference and it was put on at Stanford. And I'm doing the keynote and I'm in one of those lecture halls where you're at the bottom and everybody's like layered up looking down at you.
mm.
And when I got through, somebody at the top said, I'm just so excited. I got to do something. We got to march. We got to march. Everybody poured out the conference and just started marching around Stanford. There was
Don't even know why.
nobody there, nothing. They just had to,
We gotta do something.
they just had to march and
Um,
shout.
mm. It's like I just feel the need to do. I listened to Reverend. I don't know her name, but
Come on, everybody, we got to march.
yes, yes, you do that. I know you do that for me, and I know you do it for our listeners. And I thank you for all that you're doing. Speaking
Thank
of all
you.
that you're doing, you'll have a workshop that is actually wrapping up. Is it what is it? Unmasking privilege. That's kind of,
Yeah, this one that we're doing now is actually cultivating the consciousness of inclusion.
mm, mm,
However, if people still want to sign up and get the materials and get the videos and everything that's been happening, yeah, you can still go to innerlightministries.com and register,
yeah.
for that. And I would encourage you to do that. It's good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting me on this path. I remember, was it 2016 when we started doing it, even before things were the way
Yeah.
it was? And I'm
Yeah.
listening, I'm like, oh, just some deep work. Didn't know that you were preparing me for now. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Love you, FD. Love you. Thank you so much.
Love you too. Take care, everybody. Many blessings to you.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, Lord. I am supercharged. I'm ready for the world. I feel like Muhammad Ali. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Take what you've heard, take what resonated with you, and apply it, use it, and just be willing to be made new. I'm about to release this show. I love you, I bless you, I appreciate you, and I thank God for you. And yes, if you want to deepen the experience, we can reach your FD, DeborahLJohnson.org, or my website, lifecoachade.com. Be well, be still, be grateful, and take this consciousness and multiply it. Peace and blessings.